I don't want to cause harm. I actually even have a fear of causing harm. And sometimes, even though your intention might be good, the impact of what you do might actually cause some harm to another. So both Jan and I, and Jan, my wife Jan, will also be assisting. Reconciliation is very, very important to both of us. Both personally, we want to make peace with ourselves, with this world, with this life. Life gives us situations that can be at times very painful, and sometimes we can get resentment and anger and a lot of complexity. So when we speak about reconciliation or making peace, making amends, there's a few different areas that I feel are very important, worthy of investigating. And the first is to begin to look at the times that we've been hard on ourselves due to our conditioning, our identifications, our beliefs, our stories, our narratives. Perhaps we've been raised in certain type of environment where we don't have a very good opinion of ourselves. We're very judgmental, very critical. We can never do enough. And now Jen and I are blessed with a grandson. It's so wonderful to be around an infant and a young child because they don't have any prejudice, any bias, any shame, feelings of inadequacy or not doing enough. Like, we all come in some ways in a very sovereign, very beautiful way. And then life, like what happens that we begin to learn to have prejudice, we begin to get self-conscious. Sometimes we're given messages growing up that, oh, yeah, you can't do things right. We take away our confidence, or you're not beautiful, or you can't sing, or you can't dance, or whatever these stories. And at such an early age, we don't know any better. Since we don't know any better, this becomes part of our personality. First, inside our own heart is so important, is for us to begin to become aware of these stories that I tell myself, these narratives. So these things were all learned. And I think the gift of mindfulness practice is we begin to become more aware of what it is that we have learned, so that potentially we can begin to unlearn. And another area is making peace to the times that I have hurt another. No doubt due to my unawareness, my ignorance, my woundedness, my fear, there's been times in my life as I look back now, in hindsight, I caused some pain to another. Making peace to the times that I've caused some pain to another. Very difficult for us to even admit that, to acknowledge that. But it's so powerful when we bring our mindfulness to begin to, I'm understanding more why I caused so much pain to another, because I was so scared, I was so unaware. Because when you recognize that you have caused some pain to another and you apologize, and then more than apologize, you try not to do that action again. So for example, growing up with my kids, and sometimes as a parent, I might have had a little bit shortness of temper, and I was tired and I just wanted to do something different. And my kid said something, and I might have said something to them that made them feel sad. Maybe I shamed them or whatever. The mindfulness is helping me to, look at what I just did here. And then going back into the room and talking with my son or my daughter and say, I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings. I just hurt you. I'm sorry. But also the inner commitment, I see what I did here, and I'm going to do my best to not do it again. So this is what we call becoming a guardian of the world, becoming a protector, when not only you apologize, but you begin to not do those actions anymore that cause harm. That's how you begin to pay it back. That's how you begin to develop trust and safety, is by making peace for those that I have caused pain. Then there's a third area we work with, is making peace for the times that people have hurt me. Just like I've been capable of hurting others, others have hurt me. So that type of mindful understanding can help to some degree. It doesn't excuse the actions, but perhaps it brings greater understanding. This too came from their unawareness, their fears, their conditioning, their narratives, their stories, their identifications, their beliefs. When we continue to harbor resentments and grudges, we continue to suffer. And also the understanding again that just as I'm capable, due to my unawareness, to hurt another, due to their unawareness, are capable of hurting hurting me. this area of making peace to life itself. You know, sometimes in life, we're never happy with what we have. We want something different. We have straight hair, we want curly hair. We have curly hair, we want straight hair. If we're tall, we want to be smaller. If we're too big, we want to be thinner. We want our skin to be darker or lighter. Or we want to be this, we want to be that. We want to be the wealthiest person in the whole world or whatever. But this is the life that we got, whatever the life is that we have. And how do we begin to make peace with life itself? So much of the time, there's so much suffering about wanting it to be different. And so how do we begin to make peace with the body that I have, with the work that I'm doing, if I'm fortunate enough to be able to work, and the house that I'm living in, if I'm fortunate enough to even have a house that I'm living in? I mean, so like, how do we begin to make peace with life itself and what life has brought you? Like, this is the body that I get in this life. I don't get another body. And yet sometimes we're so much rejecting this body. We think we should have a different body and it should be this shape or this face. Like, how much suffering. And so how do we begin to reconcile to the life that we have, to the place that we live, to everything that we have? And can we actually begin to become more grateful for it rather than wanting it to be different? So making peace with life itself. So these are the areas that Jan and I will explore during that weekend workshop. And these different areas of reconciliation. We'll do a little bit of just helping to settle and collect and gather the mind with the mindfulness of breathing or listening to sounds or feeling sensations. I always like to offer a few options to meditate on, but in particular, we're going to do a mindful reflection on 4 areas that I was just talking about, to ourselves, to those we've hurt, to those that hurt us, to making peace with the world. So we're going to do some guided meditations on those particular areas for people to mindfully reflect upon and bring inquiry and investigation. We can go into breakout rooms with small groups and discuss, and then coming back to a larger group and then being able to hear from the larger community, harvesting what people are learning about themselves through beginning to dive into this area of making peace or reconciling. Who can benefit? I think anyone, as our meditation practice matures. You know, meditation is not about all this love and light and cosmic consciousness. It's as the maturity happens, like, wow, the understanding of the importance of making peace. But it's also for anyone that's willing to acknowledge that they don't have peace in their hearts and they want to work on having peace in their hearts.
Even people with no experience of meditation or no experience of mindfulness practices.
Of course, I think it'd be helpful for them to know that there's going to be some meditation involved. If they want to be here and self-select in, we're very fine to welcome them because they are sincere. And, you know, and we'll see how it goes.
But sometimes when people are getting hurt, they do not want to see it. They want to avoid it.
That's right. So you have to advertise very clearly. This is about entering into our own pain.
Can it happen in just 2 days?